have migraines and all migraines. And I actually broke down and took Imitrex, which I have a prescription for. Um, but I never take it because my migraines pretty much went away when I got other medication, which deals with my, you know, stomach issues. Basically, when I started eating properly again, when I was able to actually consume food and get the energy from it, my migraines kind of went away. But for days now, I've had this really bad migraine and this really bad pain in the back of my neck, at the very base of my neck. And no amount of naproxen would get rid of it. I took the naproxen. I didn't like OD on it or anything, but I took the recommended, dosages for an adult over a certain time span, and it didn't do anything really for the pain. So I took Imitrex. It hasn't kicked in yet, but if I'm weird, that's why. Although it's also probably just because I'm weird. Anyway, I'm thinking of renaming my vlog because it's not just about, it hasn't been just about the trauma that led to the PTSD. I've barely even touched on that. So I'm thinking of renaming it to something else, but if I do it, I won't do it now because I have too much else going on this finals week. Massive final paper case study thing due for a class, which is really weird and I don't like it. Very vague. I don't like vague assignments. But anyway, so today I was going to kind of expand upon what I was saying yesterday, because yesterday's vlog got me thinking about my dad, and it's true that he won't be at my graduation. But it's also true that he won't be at a lot of things. He won't be at Thanksgiving with me. I won't see him for Thanksgiving. I won't see him for Christmas. There won't be phone calls on birthdays. No more random cookouts during the summer. I mean, I've basically disowned him until he gets help and can acknowledge that, for one, I was looking out for him and for my nephew. For two, that he has a problem with alcoholism. And that three, threatening to harm me and then threatening to kill me because I care is not an appropriate response. And that, my moving out due to that, and kind of leaving him to his own devices was an appropriate response, because you can't expect someone to live somewhere where they do not feel safe. And beyond that, he can't expect my husband to leave me there with him. My husband obviously feared for my safety as well, and had every right to fear for my safety, given, the background there. So until those things can be clarified, until those things can be brought to light and discussed in an appropriate adult manner, and dealt with, I have basically disowned him. So that means I'm Christmas, no Thanksgiving, no birthdays, and it makes me sad. And I guess I had just kind of put my sadness aside. I have a life, I have a husband, and I have school, and I have friends, and I have, pets that I kind of consider my children, and, I have responsibilities. There are groups that I belong to, and things that I have to do, and honor societies where these requirements I have to meet, and, I have a life. I have a full developed life, and I think that has kind of distracted me from the sadness um, of losing my family. And I think that, my upcoming graduation has kind of brought that back into focus, because here is an instance where I'm gonna face it. I can't pretend that he's there. Um, what also has come into focus because of this is, I don't want to say that there's a right and a wrong way to love someone, but I do think there is definitely, let me rephrase that. I don't think there's a right way to love someone. I do think there are several wrong ways to love someone. Um, like domestic violence. Uh, I'm sure that my ex-wife believes that she loves me. I'm not entirely sure that the emotion she felt could be called love. It's a very warped version of love. And a warped version of love is not love. Um, kind of like my computer, I can, even better one would be kind of like a mirror. I can look in the mirror and I see my reflection. If I break the mirror, is it still my reflection? Yes, but it's a warped version of my reflection, therefore it doesn't really reflect me. In the same way, love, like that love was broken, and then you don't, that love isn't really love anymore. Just like my reflection isn't really my reflection anymore, because it's not a true picture of me. Our love wasn't a true picture of love. But, so I do think there are right and wrong ways. I do think there are wrong ways to love someone, and started thinking about, I want to believe that my dad loves me. I do. I was kind of alluding to this in one of my classes the other day, talking about how, like, psychology can be applied to my own personal life. Well, I suffer from a psychiatric illness, therefore, obviously, knowledge of that helps me to manage my condition. But also, just, it gives me a better understanding of people. My parents were not evil. They were just maladaptive. And their parenting was deviant, and that it was not the norm. They were dangerous people. It was very dysfunctional. It caused me a lot of distress. Obviously it wasn't a functional family relationship, but that doesn't mean that they didn't love me. But can that be called love? And I've struggled with this, and I still struggle with this, because it's hard for me to say that they didn't love me, but it's also hard for me to say that they did. Because personally, I know that I would never treat someone that I loved that way, and I can say that when I lost it when I was 21, I didn't love my father at that time. I didn't. At that time, there was no love between us. There was afterwards, though, which is strange. I've kind of worked really hard to get that feeling of love for him back. And I still do love him today. But I don't know, I was thinking about, like, I have cheerleaders in my life. One of my closest friends is a cheerleader in my life. I tell her of my accomplishments, and she's like, "Oh my God, that's so awesome. I'm so proud of you. You're great. You're a genius. You're so smart. Blah, blah, blah." and she cheers me on. You know, she makes me feel good about the things that I've achieved in my life. I do the same for her. You know, my husband is a cheerleader. He's, you know, he tells me that he's proud of me. Um, and not just for like academic things, but you know, I'll make a huge decision, an important decision in my life, you know, especially like regarding my past or my family. And he's like, I am so proud of you. I am proud of you for making that step, and you know, and then his aunt and uncle, who I love, and I have adopted them. They're my family. Um, I know that they're like my family through marriage, but they're my family. Um, I need to see them. I might go see them this weekend. But like they're my cheerleaders, especially his uncle. You know, his uncle tells me that he's, you know, proud of me, and you know, pats me on the back and all that kind of stuff. But kind of like a proverbial pat on the back, but still. Um, and so I have that, and I think that that's important in one's life. But I'm starting to see that I didn't have that with my dad, and I kind of thought that I did because, you know, my dad, my dad never asked me how school was going. My dad doesn't ask me how my relationship with my husband is going. My dad doesn't ask about my dogs, how my dogs are doing, or any of that stuff. However, he would brag to others that I was doing well. I was doing well in school. My marriage was going well. And I thought for a while that that was his way of showing that he was proud of me. However, I've had to censor things out because there's a big logical block there that I didn't quite see until now, and that is, how can that be his way of showing me that he's proud of me if he is saying these things to people that I do not normally have any contact with? So I don't think that was his way of showing that he was proud of me. I think that that was him bragging on himself as though my accomplishments are his own. And they're not. And it kind of made me angry when I realized that, because they're not. My accomplishments are mine. And yeah, there are people who supported me and helped me achieve those accomplishments, but he's not one of them. You know, my husband is. He's the one who, when he saw that I was struggling, said, "Don't worry about working. Focus on school. If you need to just focus on school, you do that, and it's your decision. I will support you financially." He's the one who asked me, you know, how school is going, um, how much left I have to finish. Uh, he's the one who comes home every day and asks me how my day went. And I have friends who do the same kind of thing. It's like they ask me, "So how is your relationship going?" Or, "So how are you and your husband? How's school? What's new with you?" And it's very supportive to have people ask about your life. So those people deserve some of, you know, the credit for helping me to get here, because I'm not an island. There are people who helped me upon my path. You know, therapists that I've had, counselors that I've had, people that I met when I was incarcerated. Those are the people that deserve a little bit of credit. Those are the people that have helped me through this and helped me achieve my goals. He didn't. He never asked me, you know, how my husband and I were doing, how our relationship was going. He never asked how I was doing in school. I mean, I told him, and then he would be like, "Oh, well, Brian, proud of you. It's good. You can go right on to different things, like change the subject. So no, he doesn't deserve that, and he didn't help me, and it's not his accomplishment. It was mine. That is my accomplishment. It kind of made me angry when I realized that. Um, that's not. So what I thought was a sign of, you know, love and affection. I've recently realized I don't think that is a sign of love and affection on his part. I think that was a sign of conceit and arrogance on his part. On just pushed me. So, I don't know. I hate those people. Well, I don't hate those people, but I don't like it when people say that, you know, mommy's on camera. Mommy's on camera. Yes, camera time. I need you to get down. You want to sit in my lap anyway? Okay. Sorry about that. I don't like it when people say that, you know, whining about lack of praise, you know, is a fault. I don't think it is. I think that we need praise. And it's not just necessarily praise. We need people to ask us about us. It's a sign that someone cares how you're doing and how your life is going. And I think that's important to have. I think that's important to have as a child. I think that's important to have as an adult. I think that's important to even have as a puppy. On, how are you doing? How is your relationship with Goober going? Goober does not like you. Yeah, I know. So anyway, apparently my dogs are not going to let me continue talking, so I will be back with this tomorrow. Maybe a different topic, maybe the same topic, I don't know. I kind of play it by ear, whatever happens to be on my mind at the time that I start videotaping. So, I'm going to go, you know, play with my puppy, because apparently my puppy here is starved for attention. And I will, I'll be back tomorrow, so